Hey guys, Jared James here, and welcome to this week's edition of your virtual coaching, your virtual training broadcast, May 13th, I think it is. I'll be heading off to DC tomorrow for a few days. If any of you are going to be there, please let me know. If there's any chance of saying hello, I'd love to get the opportunity to do that. As always, guys, if you haven't got your tickets yet to the Advance in Nashville, get your tickets. Prices just went up. They're going to go up again, so you're going to want to get on that. We want to see a lot of you there, obviously. If you're new to the broadcast or you're new to coaching on any level, and this is your first time on this, if you have questions, you can post them in our group, our Facebook group, which is below you in here, or you can just go onto Facebook, type in Jared James Coaching, or go to connectwithjared.com, send me a DM through Instagram or through Facebook or through something like that, okay? Or just send me a message on YouTube, whatever works for you. Today, what I want to talk about is, today's going to be brief. Today, I've got a very specific thing I want to talk to you about, and it really comes from listening to so many of you and seeing, you know, where some of us are not connecting the gaps, so to say. You know, one of the things I love about being on the road is I get to talk to so many of you and I get to see what you're actually doing and what you're not doing and those kinds of things. And lately, I've been talking a lot about consistency. I've been talking about referrals, being consistent with how to get those. I've been talking about consistency with your schedule. I've been talking about consistency, right? And I'm a big believer that, you know, talent can create moments, but consistency creates lives, okay? Meaning talent can create moments, consistency creates lives, meaning that when you're consistent, it creates a lifestyle. It creates the way that you live, the way that you operate. It creates, you know, the abundance that you live from, all of those kinds of things. And you all know you should be consistent. You know there are certain things you stick with, but then you get busy and, you know, everything kind of goes to the wayside. And you've heard me say many times that you need to have set times to create leads and set times to convert leads and set times to create content and set times to do these types of things. But as I get on the road and I talk to so many of you, there's so few of you that are actually doing that on a regular basis. And so for some of you, you should, you know, don't feel bad about yourself. You're with a lot of people in the sense that you're not having that set time. You're creating content and converting leads and making those calls and prospecting and doing that stuff. But on the other hand, if you want to ever, you know, reach certain levels, you have to do things that are different from what everybody else does. You have to do the difficult stuff, right? And you've also heard me talk about before that there are two types of marketing, that there is your direct call to action marketing and there's your branding marketing. And that's literally what I want to talk about really quickly here with you, is that I don't believe that enough of us understand at this moment why leads are important, even when they don't convert, and how content, what content actually does for your brand building. You know, I'm doing a full session at the Advance just on building a brand, where I'm going to talk about how you do that and why that matters. But I'll just really quickly here, I want to make this point with you, and I also want to give you guys kind of an assignment of something that I want you to do to start to make this something that you consistently do, because learning about it, getting exciting about it doesn't make any difference. It ultimately only matters what you do on a day in, day out basis, right? Creating a good video for me on my Jared James Today show or on my Today with Jared James podcast is nice, but the only reason it does so well is because every single week one comes out and people learn to expect it, and that momentum builds and there's consistency that occurs. And now you look back and there's so many episodes and I'm like, holy crap, I did that many episodes. And it's because consistent, right? And so I don't think enough of us understand why these things matter as much as they do. And so I want to kind of plant this seed in your head, okay? Number one, the reason why the lead creation, even though the leads are further out and they're frustrating and they're taking longer and they're not on your timetable, they're on their own timetable. One of the major reasons that leads matter so much in your business that not enough of you are focused on is because it builds your database. Whether that lead closes or doesn't close, it builds your database, okay? One of the things, I shot a podcast once and I talked about how we're not as similar as you may think we are. And I didn't talk about this point, but this is one of those points where we're not as similar as you may think. In the sense that when many of you get a lead, you're immediately thinking, how do I close it? How do I close it? If it doesn't close, it sucks. It's not a good lead. It's not whatever. I literally never get one lead into our system that I'm thinking about closing tomorrow. Never once. It's why at our events, we do the send an email to yes@jaredjamestoday.com for some free training page, you know, a free training page and whatever, because I'm just building my database, because I'm playing the long term, because I know what the value of that database is to me. I know what the value is to be able to reach out and be direct to consumer for people at all times. So step one, I want you guys to understand that when leads come in, first off, there's no such thing as a bad lead, a sucky lead, unless your definition is they close within a month, okay? So if you change the meaning of what that lead is, yes, they can lead to a closing. Yes, they probably will lead to a closing, but the purpose of that lead was to grow your database, which gives you direct access to consumer, because you understand how important a database is. When you have database and you have brand, you're unstoppable, okay? A database gives you such direct access to people that it allows you to pivot however you want. Now, when you add brand into that as well, which is what content does, the reason why I shoot as much content as I do and I do as much content as I do is because it creates brand. And when you put those two together and you create brand and you put it together with database, I can pivot, I can do whatever I want to do at any moment. It's the reason why I can start a marketing company. It's the reason why we can, get a bunch of users and we can basically pivot however we need. And in an industry that you're in right now with so many changes coming, and I won't go into them all right now, I'll save that for the advance, but when there's so many things happening right now, I don't think a lot of you understand the level to which you're gonna need to pivot. Not that you're gonna be extinct, but you're gonna need to pivot, okay? And the ones who are gonna be able to pivot on a greater level are the ones who are listening to what I'm telling you now, right? The ones that back now, when I was telling you to do the things you need to do to put yourself in a position to pivot, those who did it, those who didn't wait till it was too late and now it's, dire time and, whatever, those are the ones who are ultimately gonna win, because the one with the database and the one with the brand is the one who could do whatever they wanna do because they have the trust through the brand and they have the access through the database, okay? And those are the two ingredients that make a difference in you being able to pivot. So understand for today, leads matter. No such thing as a sucky lead unless you define a lead as somebody who is going to close in the next month. But if you define it as somebody who eventually is going to, but in the meantime, 100% true, no matter what, they always grow your database. That grows your reach. That matters. Content. I can't stress this enough with you guys. Not enough of you are creating content consistently. Not once or twice. Not I look back and I see a couple. Consistently. Because that content creates brand. And it even is greater brand when they know to expect it on a regular basis. So here's what I want you guys to do as a result of today's call. I want you to sit down and I want you to come up with 10 things that you can create content around. They can be 60 seconds, 120 seconds, 5 minutes, whatever's gonna be appropriate for that piece of content. Go look at your emails, go Google and see what people are asking about. Go watch HGTV and see the kinds of questions that people have when they're looking for homes or selling homes or flipping homes or whatever it's gonna be. But I want you to come up with 10 pieces of content that you can do either a video about, that you can do a podcast about, that you can do a written blog, like create content around it. And I don't care if you post that content on YouTube. I don't care if you post it to your Facebook organically. I don't care if you post it to IGTV, which is now becoming a real thing all of a sudden. Instagram TV, IGTV. I've been staying away from that. I haven't taught you guys too much about that because it wasn't working in the beginning, but now it seems to be. So maybe I'll do a call just on that. I don't care where you post it. Right now, I'm more concerned with you getting in the pattern of creating content. So I want you to come up with 10 things you can talk about, and I want you to schedule them at a set time every single week, at a set time for the next 10 weeks. And just get used to creating content on a regular basis and start paying attention to what people are asking you and saying and making note of that. And let's start putting this when we talk about consistency, right? Because ultimately, talent can create moments. Consistency is what creates lives, okay? Let's start getting in the pattern of consistently creating content that is going out to other people so it becomes a part of our pattern. Just like we hop in the shower, we create content. Because my hidden motive here, what I'm trying to get you guys to understand, forget about from a real estate perspective, I'm trying to get you to understand this purely as an entrepreneur as well, which will benefit you as a realtor, which will benefit you as a real estate professional, regardless of where you're watching in the world right now, is leads. No such thing as a bad lead, not just because they're eventually, but because they build your database, which gives you a voice to someone, gives you someone to listen, that gives you attention in the future, okay? So leads build that database. Database is one thing you need to be building, and then content creates brand. When you have a database and you have a brand, you are in a better position to be able to pivot at any time, which is a position a lot of you would love to be in, okay? okay? So 10 things, 10 pieces of content that you're going to create. Feel free, by the way, to post them in our group. Here's the 10 pieces of content that I'm going to be creating around, to give other people ideas. Probably not a bad idea to do something like that, okay? Hope this helps, guys. That's your assignment this week. As usual, guys, go to connectwithjared.com. Connect on all the platforms, especially Instagram. Follow subscribe to my podcast. A lot of good stuff going on there. Good one was just uploaded last week. I think you guys will enjoy. We're getting a ton of views on that. And guys, get your tickets to the advance. I think the hotel is just about booked out. So if you haven't booked your rooms yet, make sure you get on that. But I can't wait to see you guys in Nashville, okay? See some of you in DC. Talk to you soon.